Today I will be demonstrating on how to assemble an in-plant handler. The part number that we've chosen for today is a standard item, part number 37288. This is a stock 15 cell implant handler. Each implant handler consists of a storage container, a lid, long partitions, and short partitions. Implant handlers shipped to you flat, unassembled. Assembly is required on your end. Let's go through the process of assembling the various components of an implant handler. We'll begin with the storage container. For implant handlers with a depth of 6 inches or greater, the assembly instructions are actually printed on the bottom, demonstrating on how to fold and assemble. I'll demonstrate the assembly for you now. The first step is to form the box. Take the flap labeled A and fold it down. Next, fold the flaps labeled B inward and then press down on the main panel until the bottom is flat. Now, flip the box over and you will pull up the panel with the flap labeled A to bring it up to flat inside of the container. Next, pull up both flaps labeled B and place them flat against the sides of the container. Then, fold the flap A back down flat into the bottom of the container. All of our stock implant handlers come with handholds, but we also offer additional accessories that you might want to consider for ease of handling, such as physical separate ESD handles, and then also a reinforcing wire frame for extra strength and rigidity as well, which really comes in handy, especially if you're stacking your implant handlers on top of one another. If you're adding ESD safe plastic handle accessories, you'll need to punch out the handle cutouts and the outside panels of the container, and the cutouts from the inner B panels you just folded up. Once they are removed, you can insert the handles before holding the top panels down. ESD safe handles assist in safely lifting a fully loaded implant handler. If you plan to add a reinforcing steel wire frame accessory, insert it at the top of the container before folding it down to the top flaps. After adding any additional accessories, you can proceed to fold in the top flaps to complete the assembly of the container. There's no particular order for folding these flaps. You notice the locking tabs designed to secure the flaps in place once they're folded. Now you've fully assembled your storage container and it's ready to be put into use. For the lid, it is recommended to pre-score all the fold lines before assembling the lid. Fold the single thickness or the long ends sides up first. The small tabs on the end should be folded in before folding the rollover ends and locking into place with the locking tabs. Repeat for the other side of the lid. The long partitions will have punch outs for where the short partitions slot in and may have finger notches. You will have to manually remove these before folding and assembling the partitions. To get the partitions to fold over properly, we recommend using something like a box edge or a flat edge and placing the double scores over and firmly pressing down to fold the partition. Repeat this process with all partitions included in the finished good implant handler. This will make the assembly process easier as the partitions will line up cleanly with the slots on the opposite partition. Now that you've properly folded all your long partitions, now you want to repeat the same process for your short partitions. So for this particular cell configuration, we're going to utilize the second slot on the short partition and the first on the long. We do recommend assembling the outer edges first. It really helps hold the dividers into place as you're assembling. So we'll go ahead and put these two short partitions to lock the dividers in place. And actually flipping it upside down for the remainder of the assembly actually really helps. It just makes the process that much easier. So now I'll go ahead and line up those slots for you. So once you've locked in all the long dividers, you'll actually want to go ahead and flip it back on its right side and put in the remaining short partitions in the appropriate slots based off of the assembly instructions. So now that we have our partition set fully assembled, we also have an additional accessory for the bottom of our storage containers. It's a high quality cross-linked polyethylene dissipative cushion foam pad. It's really ideal for lining the very bottom of a storage container for absorbing shock when you're placing items in and out of your cells. We'll go ahead and place that in now. And now we'll place the partition set on top of that foam pad. And then lastly, we'll take our lid and we will place it on top of our storage container. And that concludes on how to assemble a stock Protektive Pak In-Plant Handler. Assembly instructions for every dissipative corrugated implant handler can be found on Protektive Pak's website. To find assembly instructions for the desired implant handler, enter the part number into the search bar at the top of the home page. For this example, we will search for finished good item 37288. Once the item page loads, click on the Technical Information tab. Here, you will find the technical drawings and the assembly instructions for this implant handler. All assembly drawings are labeled IPH followed by the part number. The assembly instructions for each implant handler include drawings that specify the corresponding part numbers for both the long and short partitions, their dimensions, the quantity required per container, the appropriate partition slots for assembly, the correct orientation for fitting the partitions together, a completed assembly view, the number of cells, and the cell size for the partition set. The drawings also specifies the corresponding item numbers for the storage container and lid included in each set or finished good. For additional information, please visit us at protectivepak.com.